Hi, and welcome to my studio, and welcome to my working table, and welcome to part 3 here in this little series of me making a stitch book. All I will refer to of links you'll find here under the little under the video, under the little word more, and every time I mention something you can find it under that little word more or in the description box. And there is a part 1 and a part 2. In part 1 I made the papers for gluing in this old catalog, and that was the first video, and the second video I stitched in the book these 2 pages. So this is where I left you last time, and the links will be there. And if you're only interested in the stitching, look at part 2, and if you're interested in making the book, also look at both parts. And there probably will be a part 4 also, because it takes some time to do this stitching here. So else I would only say my name is Lisbeth. I'm Danish abstract mixed media artist who likes to do many different things, and especially I like to combine different sorts of working. For instance here, jelly printing, bookmaking and stitching in one. And if you like my channel, I have recently made me a Ko-fi account, so you are welcome to support my work here with my channel, so I can make better and more videos for you if you want to, but don't feel obligated in any way. That is just a little info for you. But enough of me talking, let's get stitching. So this here was where I left you in the last video. So let us go to the next spread. And I just got to the next spread, but nobody is preventing you in jumping up and down or around in your book and do what you think you want to do next. You don't have to do it in a specific order. But I will work on this spread here today. And I have found these 2 colors I think look nice on these colors on the jelly prints. And I will start over at this side here today. And as you probably already have noticed, or you already know because you have been with me for a while, you know I like my spreads to look nice together. And somehow I think also because I like to teach, I know it shines through, but I think it is quite nice to have, there are some cohesions between these ways of doing something that looks alike, or using the same stitch and make different images with it, or express yourself differently with the same stitch. So in this spread here, I think I will go for the chain stitch. So here I will just make a circle with quite ordinary chain stitches, and here on this side I think I will also make a circle, but I will make chain stitches, or what is called elongated chain stitches, or chain stitches with a tail. So this will be what will be in these 2 pages. So again I will take my template here and see if I can center it the best I can, and just make a thin line. It's a soft pencil I have here, so it is very easy to erase. And again, I have explained everything about pre-poking holes and threads and needles and substrates, or all that you can find in video from the video with part 2, so I won't say all this again. Nobody wants to hear it more than one time. And to make a chain stitch, again I will do the the way with dots where we poke holes. You come up and you go down in the same hole. And then you have a hole here. Make a loop and come in and out. So all you need is holes on a line. That's the only thing you need for chain stitches. So that is quite easy to poke. So now I will have to decide how big I want them. And I don't need to count them here because that doesn't matter how many holes I make, because yeah, it doesn't matter because I say so. It's exactly like with children. They say, why this and why that and why? And you end up saying, because I say so. But I will do this all the way around and start the chain stitch, and I can show you how I do it. I've poked all the holes and secured my thread on the back side with a little piece of tape, and I am ready for stitching. So the way it goes, you go down in the same hole as you came up, and you come up in the next hole here in the line and into the loop. Yeah, like this. And don't, yeah, I can come a little down here. Don't pull too much in your thread, because then the little loop ends up like two straight stitches, and I want a little drop shape. Up in the next hole and into the loop. There. In the hole again. Whoops, so sorry. That was like being in the roller coaster. It's because I have my phone so very close here, and when I go this way and that way with my thread, I hit the phone. So yeah. And doesn't that look nice? In the hole again. And come up in the next hole in the line here. And in the loop. In the same hole as you came up, going down. And one thing to remember, it is paper you're stitching into, and don't be wild in your movements, and don't just drag when you can feel a resistance. Do something about knots and sew it before you let it go through the hole, the pre-poked holes. So there and there. Doot. And now I will have to find the loop here. There it is. And come up from the back and in the loop. I think you got it. Yeah. Doesn't that look nice? I will do this all the way around, and it would take me a little time. But as I have said many times before, enjoy it while you're doing it. Don't just see it as a job or something you have to be quick to do so you can go to the next thing or whatever. Enjoy your stitching and think about nice things, and hear some music perhaps, or hear a podcast, or yeah, there are many things you can do. I like to hear podcasts when I'm stitching by myself. Of course I can't do it right now here because I have to video what I'm doing here, but yeah, that's just options I give you. It's a little darker today, so And so I will, yeah. Okay, I am nearly out of thread, so now I'll show you how to change thread. I just put my thread or needle down in the previous hole and have the loop here. So I will just come up in the next hole and go into the loop there and pull this through here, and then I will drag in the other thread, so I make a loop. There is the loop. And now I will take these two threads and secure them by a little piece of tape. So I am good to go again. That isn't very difficult. So I will just continue. Some of them you can massage them a little and do it there. And while I'm on it and I'm looking at it, yeah, I think it looks a little plain, so I will draw another circle, and I think I will not center it, but put it in another place here inside the circle. Okay, so done with all this stitching, and it takes some little time, and I think I will glue these two pages together, because then it isn't so flimsy when I'm doing the next. So I will glue them together, and that I also showed in part 2, so I don't need to show you that here. But on this page I again want to draw a circle or trace a circle, and here is my, and I've used the big one there, so I think I will use this smaller one here. And another thing I want to say is, I think these two first spreads are centered, and then it gets a little exciting. Then suddenly there's a thing sitting there, and it's not sitting there, slam bam in the middle. And oh, again, sorry. And that you can change during the book, placing things a little differently, so you just get more excitement out of it. But I will trace this here, and something like that here. I think it's okay there. And I need another circle, a smaller one, because yeah, I can trace it now, but then I can tell you why a little, and when I show you how to do the stitches. And this one need to be centered, else there isn't much meaning with what I'm doing. But I'll do it the best I can, and perhaps it won't be totally even. It is a little difficult with all these other rings and so on to see if you do it. But let me see here. Yeah, I think this is fine. So away with that, and then I will take my paper here again. You do exactly, you need 2 holes here to make the chain, and then you need another hole far away to make the stalk or the stem of the chain stitch, so it will end up like that. So here I will end the stitch, and at the top here I will have a stitch there and there. So I will make small marks so you can see it when I'm doing it. And since you are doing this in a circle, there is much less room inside here than there is all the way around. So I always divide my circle up in 4 areas first, So I know this is where I want to punch my holes. There, and there, and there. It is like north, east, west, and south and west. You can say, so I punch a hole there, and a hole there, and a hole there. So now I have something to steer after. Then again I can say, what's the half of this? That is approximately here. So here and here. And then again, I can do this all the way around, but then I will concentrate on this piece again. I will go in the middle there, and there, and there. Again in the middle, there, and there, and there. And in the middle, and in the middle, and in the middle. And then you can keep on doing that until you don't think you have room enough in here. And that way you get a nice circle. Perhaps you haven't even been able to see what I'm doing. I'm so far away. Boop. Here I go again. I have traced these 2 circles, and the thing I start doing is making a mark there, and a mark there, and a mark there, because this is the way the stitch goes. This way, and this way. The loop and the stalk. So again, I have done it at 9 o'clock, or 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. And then I make the marks there. From there I find half of it and make the 3 marks again, find half of it, make the 3 marks again, find half of it again. So I always divide it up in halves and halves and halves, and that is easy, and just start poking all the holes. And you can see there is so crowded in there, so I don't think I dare to put more stitches in here. So I will pre-poke these holes first, so we can see if that works. So these 2 pages are glued together and looking very nice. And I have taken my eraser and just erased some of the pencil lines and marks there. And since I'm sewing in paper and can make these stitches more close than I have already, I have chosen to take a double thread so it will fill a little more. So here we go with the stitch. I have just come up in the top hole and down again, exactly like you did before. Come up in the hole just under there and go in the loop. And perhaps we can come in a little closer here also. I'm sorry I'm going up and down with you here in this video, but I think it is needed if you should be able to see what I'm doing. And then I go down in the last hole, and that is a chain stitch with a stalk or elongated chain stitch. So again I come up here and I can see I want to erase a little more. There. So I don't get the marks. I don't mind that the pencil marks smeared a little there, that doesn't matter. So in the hole again, and up in the underlying hole, if I can hit it, and in the loop, it already is in the loop, pull the red through there and into the hole here in the circumference of the small circle in the middle. And there I made a bird's nest, and that is there. And that is why I told you to be a little easy when you pull your thread through, because if it tangles up and you just pull it through a paper hole, it can tear your paper. There. And in the same hole, and in the hole underneath, give the loop. There. And in the hole here down. So I think you can see what it is I'm doing here. So I will do that all the way around. I could have probably done them a little closer, but yeah, it is what it is now. I think I will go with this all the way around. That was a lot of stitching too, but I'm quite satisfied, even though I could perhaps have squeezed some more stitches in. But yeah, also I got thinking about, instead of pre-poking them very close, you could of course have put 2 of the stalks in the same hole. But all in all, I'm quite satisfied with this spread. So this will just be there, so let us go on to the next spread. And I can already feel now here it is getting a little chunkier because I have used double thread there. So it must be that there aren't anything I can do about it. But not so to be so predictable. I think I, in this spread here, will fill out the circles instead. So I think in one of them will do seed stitches. In Danish we call them specklings, and I really don't know why, but that's not straight stitches, totally random placed. And in the other circle, I don't know, something similar to that, perhaps cross stitches or hashtags. So yeah, I don't know quite yet what I will do in the other one. But if I take this one here, there, and perhaps I should put something under here also, so I don't stitch into anything else, or pre-poke into anything else. So let us come in closer. This time I think I will just go crazy, and instead of marking up the circle, oh sorry, I don't know what that was. Perhaps I will, instead of centering it, I will let it go all the way out here to these corners. And I think I want my seed stitches to be a little more than half a centimeter or 5 millimeters, or a little under a centimeter. So I will, instead of draw my circle, I will just draw the line here, because I know I will be using these stitches, the holes here for the stitches. So the tricky part here is to hold your tin plate still and not remove it, because then the circle will be wonky. And even though I like wonky, in this case I don't want my circle shape to be wonky. The only thing is to remember where you started, so you don't poke nearly in the same. And I can see I started there, so there. So now you can see I have a fine round circle here. So I will just place some, and I think I will outline the circle with running stitches or back stitches. I don't know that yet, but I can always do that. But straight seat stitches is just totally random stitches. So I can poke as crazy as I want. And just connect 2 and 2. Oh, I will not poke more than this now. So I will find what kind of thread I want to use and start sewing them. I think I will go for this color here. So you can see I have pre-poked them there. So again, I will just no, I won't come up there. I won't come up here. And again, I will just secure my thread with a little piece of tape. So to see the circumference, I think I will just make a couple of stitches. And now I have to sneeze again. Sorry, I've just sewn a little of the circumference, but the way I do it is I just pick a random hole, come up in it, and then I go down, for instance here. And that is the first stitch. And then I can go up, for instance here, and come down here. And you can make them as big or as small as you like. That is totally up to you. But yeah. So again, I will just, so let us go there. And of course you have to see to you are not certainly have a poked hole and nothing beside it, another hole beside it to stitch into. That's the only thing to take care of. So that is all I'm going to do here on this circle. And I can see it is getting so dark, so I don't think I will video more today. But for you, it will be in a second. I will continue tomorrow, but in the same video. So here it goes like this. Okay, sorry, I forgot to save before I go for today. I thought my stitches were too far apart. So the way I usually do this is not, yeah, you can pre-poke it all, but I very often just poke 2 holes there and there, and then I stitch them. There. And then I think, oh, what do I want more? then go there and there, and you can see it is just my regularly sewing needle here, and it's really easy to punch through here. That is perhaps a better way for you to do that. Yeah, you can do both, pre-poke it all or do it like this. And for this kind of stitching here, the seed stitches, I prefer this way here. I do the way I do it here. Pre-poke my 2 holes with just my needle. Okay, so done with all the seed stitches, and they look very nice, and they are very textured here to take your hand over it. You can really feel it. And on the other side page here, I again traced the circle and made a lot of small cross stitches, and I have pre-poked the last 2 holes here, so that is just making them, and somehow it always ends up looking nice, even though it is totally random. And I like that. And when I'm done, I can show you here. I was stitching late last night, and somehow I got a thread end of another color in there. I think it's the same color as there, but I really don't mind. It just gives it a little extra. So I will secure this here on the back also, and say these 2 pages are done. And now I will consider what to do on the next pages. I have given it a little thought, and I think I will make a circle where I make some pretty wide width herringbone stitches. So for that I will, what size do I want? I think I want this big size here for that. So I will trace my circle here and trace an inner circle, and then I will punch an even amount of holes in both circumferences. And I think I want to I have been looking at the same circle I have made in the Stitch Circle Show Challenge last year. I can't remember what week, but I will put a link to it. I will pre-poke all these holes. I know it must be an even amount of holes you have to poke. And I think for this spread I will go for these 2 colors here. So I think I will go for this one here, the darkest one here. So I will be back when I have punched all the holes. So, holy moly, that was a lot of holes I have punched here. And I will just come up and at a hole here, and as far as I remember, there's a reason why I don't glue this on here, because I am, as far as I remember, I will have to skip the next hole, because when I come all the way around I will probably end down there. But the thing you're going to do is you come up and then you find a hole in the inner circle, and when I punched all these holes here, I made some very small marks with my pencil, because it is hard to know you're placing them quite okay. So you go diagonal, go down, and then you have to come up in the hole under here where you have just come up, and I will have to find that hole here, and that is the hole there, and come up in that. and then you skip this hole here, and you skip the next hole, and you go down in that hole, and you come up in the hole under here, like this. Like that. And I will see if I can come in a little closer. I think I can this here. So again, you go down, not in the next hole, but the number 2 holes. And you come up in the hole under, there and there. And I've taken a pretty long thread because I'm going to go all the way around. And again, you go down, not in that hole, but in the second hole. And you come up in the hole under where you went down. Yeah. So you make these kind of crosses, you can say. Not in the next hole, but the second next. And down, come up there in the hole under. There. And that is all you do all the way around. Not that hole, but the next hole there. And the one under, you come up in. Now, of course, you don't need to take such a long thread as I have here, but I'm what you call a lazy tailor's thread I'm using here. So not this next hole, but the second, down in that hole and come up in that hole there. It looks much more difficult than it is, and perhaps it's because we're sewing on curves. If you made a straight line, perhaps it would be easier to see, but I really like this way here. So for now, it is just a big job for me to go all the way around. But I think they look very nice as they are sitting there now. And this circle, I can tell you a little about how many centimeters it is. Yeah, it is 10 centimeters, and I poked 84 holes all the way in that circumference, and also 84. Oh, sorry, 82. 84. I've made 2 more. I really hope it would end up nice here when I'm reach the end, but we will see. So I have been nearly all the way around, and sorry for confusing you. You have to punch 82 holes, and I will insert after this little clip the way you figure out how many holes you are to stitch. You are to stitch even amount of to figure it out. You have to have an amount that is even, and when you divide that in 2, you have to end up with an uneven number. So for instance, if I have 82, yeah, now 82, you divide it in 2, and that is 41, and that is an uneven number. So if I take 84 and divide it with 2, I will get 42, and that doesn't work. You have to end up with an uneven number when you divide it in 2. But I will insert a little picture of my way of doing it, and then you can take a screen dump of it. But I have rumbled a little around here, so I end up nicely. But you can see my thread is here, so now I have to go in here and come up under there. and I have to go in there and down under there, and lucky me, I have enough thread and I end up here in this hole where exactly there's one hole left, and in here with my needle, and here is my end, so I could have secured it. So this is how it ended up, and doesn't let look nice. And then you of course can erase a little of your marks here if you want to, or you could just let them be here. I don't think it matters so much. So I will secure my ends and glue these two pages together and figure out what I want to do there on this page here. But I will insert a little clip. Another way to do something that I think would look nice to this over here is, yeah, I don't know what it's called, but when I have showed it earlier, somebody mentioned it looks like a spirograph, and perhaps you can think a little of it that way. But instead of making such a big one as over here, I will just make a smaller one here, and I think I will just put it here in the corner. Here, there. So again, I will just trace the line. And here it is the only thing that is important here is that you make an even amount of holes. And I will make, I think if you take a quarter, 8 holes will be okay. So 8, 16, 24, 32. And let me see here. Yeah, I think that was what I ended up with. Or perhaps I write it. Or was it I wrote it somewhere? Yeah, 32 holes I will punch with as even space between them as I can punch the holes. So when I have, you can see here, I can start here on 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And then I can go in the middle here, there, 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 and here I just eyeball it, and there. So that was 8. So if I take the half of the middle between these two holes, there, 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 and then I keep on doing that until I end up with 32 holes. But I will be back when I've punched all these holes. Okay, now I'm ready. I have secured my thread on the back. And here the tricky thing is, not tricky, but you have to decide how much of the thread you want to see or how little, meaning that the narrower, like the less holes you have between where you come down, the less your circle will be. And you can't of course go all over there, because then you will cover it totally up. So you will have to think, where do I want it? And perhaps if I say I will go in here like this. Okay, and then you go to the next hole and come up in that. Yeah, I'm so close to it. Maybe it's difficult to see. But that was the next hole. And then you go diagonal on down in the next hole here. So they are crossing over there. Come up in the next hole. That was not the next. That is the next. here. So you always work clockwise around to the next hole and come up in the next, go down in the next hole and come up in the next. There. And there. And there. Come down here. Come up here. You can see how they are crossing over. And that is the only thing you do all the way around until you have been, at one point you reach a hole where you have been in already. And when you reach that hole, you take another round. So you end up have been up and down in all the holes 2 times. But I can sew a little here and show you when I reach that point there. Okay. Here is my last thread. And now I will have to go into this hole even though there is a thread already. So you just do that and come up there. And you just continue all the way around. And at what point you will also hit over there where there are threads in the holes already. In here. And don't pull so much in your thread so your paper will buckle, but don't make the thread so loose so you can't, so it will hang. If you're not sure where to go down, you can see there are two threads in that hole and 2 there. So you must go here in this hole here because this is where there isn't any more thread. Not any more thread, but there isn't only 1 thread down. So this is the way you are going round and round and round until you get dizzy. And in this case here, I don't think I have enough thread. I haven't taken a long enough thread, and now I have a knot here on my back. So I will do that, but when you don't have any more thread, you just go down where you come down, and then you take a new thread and come up in the next hole. That isn't very difficult. Oh, here it is done. And doesn't that look nice? You can make them as big or as small in size as you want. The bigger, of course, the more holes you have to punch. And you can see there my holes hadn't been so even, so that is why this circle here in the middle isn't totally round. Because if you make your holes totally even, you will get a round circle there. But let me come up here and say this is how this spread ends. I think this video is long enough, so I will stop here. So there will be a part 3, and I think I will stitch some of the pages by myself and only do a couple of them here, because else this will take too much time here, I think. But this is how I'm choosing to do it. These are the 3 spreads I have made in this video, so it is going slowly and steady forward, and as I said many times before, it isn't a speed contest, but I hope you have enjoyed seeing me do all these stitches here, and I hope you have learned some tips and tricks, and perhaps that has given you the what can I say? I hope you will perhaps think it could be nice trying to stitch in paper. It is different than stitching. Sorry, I have a big fat pigeon here outside my window, and it is eating all my seeds for all the small birds, and I don't like pigeons. They are like flying bats. Yeah, but that was just a side note, sorry. But I hope you have learned some tips and tricks, and perhaps you now think, oh, I want to stitch into paper. So go for it. And if you don't want to do the stitching but just do the book, look at part 1. That is where I made the book, and then you can always do anything else in the book here than stitching. But if you have been enjoying this here, please give my video a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing my little Danish channel. That would be very much appreciated. Give me a comment on what you think of my videos, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos from me. And else I will only say, stay creative, and please take care of yourself, and also be nice to everybody around you. And see you at a part 4.